Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Joseph Ryder Anderson podcast. Today, we're going to be doing something really fun, which is we're going to be playing with my own tool that I invented. And I think from what I've seen, go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this may be the first ever tool, TCG, on-demand deck building coach analyzer. I haven't figured. I'll have to work that out a bit more, what to call that. But I don't think anyone else has this. This is this Deck Sensei app, which is built into the Joseph Ryder Anderson, the JWA Deck Builder Premium. This app actually will analyze your deck, any deck, on demand whenever you want to. So this is a fabulous tool. I've been using this tool myself. It's good for anybody, any kind of player, and that's the way I built it. It's good for a player who's brand new, who doesn't know anything about deck building principles in Union Arena. Deck Sensei will actually teach you how to build a competitive level deck. Intermediate level players who maybe have succeeded at tournaments, who have already been net decking really well. Maybe you've gone on to josephryderanderson.com, picked one of my best decks, played that tournament and won, but you want to know what it takes to build your own custom deck that can win. That's what I love to do. And in order to build those custom decks that are strong, that are not the meta decks, you have to understand deck building principles. You have to master them, and that's what Deck Sensei is going to have you do. My ultimate dream for Deck Sensei would be that everybody learns how to build their own strong deck so we could have a more varied meta. Not that the meta now isn't varied, but we could have an even more varied meta as people figure out what these core principles are. They can look beyond just whatever happens to be winning a tournament at any given time and figure out what the deck is that they want to build, how they can make that the best deck it can be. And even for really advanced seasoned players like me, you can still use Deck Sensei. I use Deck Sensei all the time. I use it as a way to more quickly analyze pain points, weaknesses, strengths in my deck. Instead of having to go myself, I know I'm the one who taught Deck Sensei, but instead of having to go through and manually count everything myself and manually track everything in myself, or maybe I've just had a long day and I'm missing something. You know, you're, as a human, your brain's not always acting 100%. So maybe I use Deck Sensei to just quickly scan my decks to make sure I'm not missing something. And a lot of times Deck Sensei, even for me, will find things that I did miss. So that's what we're going to be looking at. But we're also going to be looking at the JWA Deck Builder version 2. So this is a completely new version, has so many cool things packed into it from where we were. I know we already have a good community, a growing community of premium members, but I think once you see some of the stuff that's come out in version 2, you're going to want to jump on that train too. Just this tool has gotten so much stronger. So let's go ahead and get into it. Again, we're going to do a sort of just a general overview of the deck builder with everything new in version 2. We're looking right now at the premium deck builder. So this is the paid version. The free version is pretty similar. It's just going to have a couple of it doesn't have a couple of the things that the premium does, but it does have everything you need to get started. A couple of new things. Let's go jump over there. One of the new things it does have is that it does now have this new deck library. So I've added this. This is where you can see all of your decks, and it does have a backup and restore. So this is going to save all of your stuff. This is going to save everything locally. So if you don't know what that means, it just means basically it's tied to your browser. So if you jump to a different browser, a different phone, you're not going to have your saved deck. So what you can do is you can back it up as a file, and then you can restore it. So you essentially can use your decks on any device. But the premium version has something better. It has cloud storage via the new JWA Premium Cloud. You're going to log into this, and it's going to let you do a bunch of cool things, like accessing your deck seamlessly from any device, no backing up and restoring. You can just jump in on any device you're on. This was a pain point I wanted to solve because I didn't have this originally, and I did not want to go and back up and restore every time I wanted to jump deck build on any device. So I added this to the deck builder, and it is fantastic. It's been working really well. So, this is the blog post for everything new. Check that out. There's a whole section for updates under TCG tools. You can go down to JWA Deck Builder updates. But let's go ahead and dive back into the premium builder, because that's what I wanted to show you, everything that's in there. Deck Sensei is only in the premium builder. So let's go ahead and take a look at some stuff. Let's go and load my Mother's Rosario deck. So if you remember Mother's Rosario, this was a deck I won one of my tournaments with, which is pretty cool. So I won one of the Asana Winter Rare Battle cards that I have is from this deck. Now, you can see a couple of things have changed in the interface. If you've been on the JWA Deck Builder, I've made a ton of things. It's hard to get into all of it here, but you're going to notice it's going to be a lot faster. So I changed a lot of the ways. I'm not going to get into all that because it's very technical, but in the ways that these cards are shown, I've just made it a lot faster. So it's going to load more easily on your desktop and more easily on your mobile phone too, since I know a lot of my readers are reading from their mobile devices. This is going to be perfectly usable on your mobile phone too. So let's go ahead and jump in. You probably saw this in my last overview I did where I built the Tokyo Ghoul decks, but you can see under the expand, it'll show your whole deck like this. You have a bunch of handy features. I love this sort option. It's just going to automatically sort your deck for you. You don't have to think any more about it. Import, export. This has gotten an overhaul recently. This makes it just super easy to import stuff and export stuff. You can export the entire list. You can export a code that you can use anywhere. You can export a link. This is great for sharing. So a lot of my deck guides will have this link option where this will actually pop open the deck builder with your deck list already there. And of course, you can import if you want to as well. The save feature. So interestingly enough, I don't want you to think, I might have to change this a little bit, but I don't want you to think that every time you save a deck, you also have to save it in your library. If you're a premium user, you don't have to. This is just to make sure you back up what's already in there. But actually, you can, every time you save in your deck, it's going to automatically save to your library as well. So in the cloud, so you can access this on any device, which is great. Now, what other features do we have? This is a new publish feature. So I'm not going to publish right now because I guess I could just to show how it works. But it's going to show your username. You're going to make this when you make your JWA Premium Cloud account. Let's just say we publish this. It's going to go to the JWA members only section. So if you are a premium member, you get access to sharing your deck directly on the website. So it's going to be under decks, public member decks. This is people who have publish their decks. You can see mine right here. I have a couple on here. We also have a couple from other people in the leaderboard. I'm currently in the lead, so I'm sorry. I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I'm making so many decks right now. But you can actually see these decks on here. You can download them, share them, open them in the deck builder. This is a super handy feature. I loved this deck that Snow shared today. This Red Academy Rush deck. I love this deck. So this Snow, shout out to Snow. Thank you for being a premium member. Go ahead and jump on there if you're a premium member. Share your deck. I'd love to see it. Tag me with it on social or Discord. I'd love to share it with my broader audience as well. It's already on the site, so a lot of people are going to see it because the site, if you don't know, the site gets literally hundreds of thousands of people every month on it, and growing, by the way. But I will also share it to my X account. I've shared posts before there that get 10,000 views for a deck list and things like that. So it just depends on the day. Now let's go back over to the Premium Builder. So we have the Publish button. I just showed you how that works. We have this Image Export button. That's going to go ahead and download this image. This is the premium members will get this little badge here for your exported image. Non-premium members will still have the same image. Obviously, it's just not going to have the badge. So that's a handy little thing to show my appreciation for you being a premium member. Over here, now let's get into the Risky Mulligan. I know I showed this off before. I have not actually updated this, so this is still working the same way it did. I think the last time I showed this, but what I did update was Deck Sensei. Deck Sensei is now quite a bit smarter than Deck Sensei already was. And Deck Sensei already was pretty smart. But now Deck Sensei is going to look for additional things. So let's go through what Deck Sensei is actually looking at. Starting out, we have deck uses a single energy color. That is super basic. So I know a lot of you players who have already been playing for a while, you're going to be like, well, obviously. But a lot of people, you got to keep in mind, a lot of new players may not know that you should only use a single energy color, right? There are very few decks made by very top tier players that can get away with using multiple energy colors, but for the most part, most decks are using a single energy color. We have, this one is really important, a solid foundation of zero cost characters, right? You really want to make sure you have enough characters to open the game with. Safe number of raid characters. Now this one's a little bit interesting because what this is really saying is that it's tracking, Deck Sensei is tracking your strategy. It's saying, okay, you have the right kind of raid line. If you have too many raid lines in your deck strategy is likely disjointed. Whereas Deck Sensei is saying, okay, your deck strategy is centered around two really powerful attackers. So that's what that is saying right there. Super helpful to have that. I love this one because I feel like this is so easy to miss. And honestly, it took me a while to figure this out, to really figure out the optimal number of what kinds of mid-game bridge characters to make sure you hit your curve are. So again, I didn't get into this, but the green is sort of like your optimal pass. Your yellow is your kind of, I designed Deck Sensei to have sort of the similar sort of methodology about, or philosophy about deck building that I myself have, which is it's not about finding the best thing, it's about improving, right? And I think that's what this is doing. It's not going to tell you exactly what to do, it's going to nudge you in the right direction. And that's how I wanted Deck Sensei to act. So the green is like, this is really, really good, this is optimal, but it's also going to have these yellow things, these yellow triggers. And this is not like a deal breaker, so don't see these as a deal breaker. The deal breakers will clearly show up in red. So if you have some issues with your decks, they will show up in red, so you don't need to worry about that. But the yellow is more like, okay, well, maybe these are some areas to consider. And I myself have run decks through Deck Sensei and been like, oh yeah, that's an interesting area to consider. I might go and make some changes. I did that recently with a purple Una deck where Deck Sensei flagged something, and I was like, maybe I will make a change. Made that change, won the tournament. So this is super helpful. Risky Mulligan too has been helping me. I built Risky Mulligan. I trained an AI on my own Mulligan strategy, and yet from using Risky Mulligan, I've gotten better at mulliganing. So we can talk about that a little bit more later. Let's get back to where we were. The great mid-game bridge with your 1 and 2 energy characters. I love this one. Solid presence of 3-cost characters. So this is just helping you. This one is kind of similar actually to your energy gen, which we'll talk in a moment, but that's just making sure you have the characters you need to continue your curve. This one's really important. Strong, reliable core of main high BP attackers. So most decks have a certain range of powerful attackers, which means that they're gonna be able to swing over their opponent's defenses and things like that. So that's what Deck Sensei is looking at here. If you don't have, like, if you have too many attackers, I know that sounds funny, but you can have too many, and that can throw off the rest of your game. Or if you have too few, it will analyze that. Right now, we're in the sweet spot for this deck of high BP attackers. We also have plenty of low-cost draw characters. Another thing that it took me a long time to realize in Union Arena, how important it is to have low-cost draw characters. Having these low-cost draw characters just means you're going to build the optimal hand early on in the game. And so if your opponent has less than you, you have more, it's more likely you're going to see the ideal hand, the ideal lines in your opponent. A solid amount of characters with search and look effects. If you notice, every deck has usually around at least one of these deck cards that can search for characters, specific characters for your deck strategy. So Deck Sensei is looking at that and being like, okay, you have an optimal number of cards that are helping you search for those cards you really need, or characters that are searching for those cards you really need. Safe number of event cards. If you were to like load up your deck with a ton of event cards, there are some strategies that do that, but that's what Deck Sensei is looking at and just checking to make sure you didn't somehow throw in a bunch of extra event cards that you didn't need. And now let's look at some of these aspects that Deck Sensei flagged as yellow. Double check your unique triggers. I think this is a really good point. Optimally, you're running all of your 4 count of specials, a 4 count of colors, and a 4 count of finals. And this is going to save you a lot of time so you don't have to go back through and manually count them. This one's flagging that I'm not running an optimal build of these. And that's actually because I'm only running 2 of the 4-cost Yukis. So that's definitely something to consider. This is a super strong card. So Deck Sensei is basically telling you this card is so strong you may want to consider running more of those in your deck. And then the last one, consider adding a couple more 2 energy generators to smooth out your plays. This is one of the newest things. There's a couple of things in here that are new. This is one of the newest advanced smart features. Because if you notice, I'm only running 2 energy gen characters. So, here's another thing too. I didn't mention this, but here's a couple of other things too. You now have, if you've been using JWA Deck Builder, you'll notice that we now have the product details added directly in. And we also have this awesome support for variants. So before, instead of just having all these things thrown in into your main card list, you're only going to see the base cards here, which makes it super easy to look through them. But if you want to choose a different kind of card variant, different kind of rarity, whatever it is, like for example, in my Mother's Rosario deck, I actually run 4 of these because I have this fully blinged out. So I'm going to go down here. Get rid of that. Let's go ahead and find it and add it back in. But let's go ahead and add in the variant, which is the one that I actually have in my deck in real life. So that's super cool. One of the new changes I made in the version 2. Let's go ahead and play around with some more decks. I think that was really spot on for Deck Sensei. Let's go ahead and look at some more. Let's go up to my deck library and let's load. Oh, this one's an interesting one. So this is one that recently won a tournament. This was shared in community decks, if you don't know where that is. So this is for premium members only, the premium member public decks. These are decks that members themselves are publishing, where there are decks that I'm handpicking from the community in general on the Discord. So this one was shared in the community decks. You can go check that out on the website. Let's go take a look at this one and see what Deck Sensei has to say. So I'm missing something. What'd I do? Let's go ahead and try to load this again. It's saying I'm missing a card. I think it's probably this one. Yeah, this is the card. This card, I think I changed databases over, so I think that card is different in this database. But let's go take a look at it. Let's run this through Deck Sensei. Now here we go. This is a case where Deck Sensei is flagging something. So again, maybe you're new to Union Arena, or maybe you just missed something. Let's go take a look at Deck Sensei. Why is Deck Sensei saying this deck is a red? So it does have some positives. It uses only one energy color. It has a solid foundation of 0 cost characters. Has all the unique color triggers. Has a balanced number of raid characters. A solid presence of 3 cost characters. Has a generous amount of low cost draw characters. And it has great energy generation to reliably play this heavy 6 cost character. I'd say relatively heavy. Rengoku's relatively heavy. Safe number of event cards. Now, what is this Rengoku deck getting wrong? It has an unusually high number of 1 and 2 energy cost characters. Again, this is yellow, so maybe this isn't necessarily a deal breaker right here. It's just Deck Sensei is flagging this as maybe this is some area for optimization, or maybe you're just taking a personal risk. Deck Sensei is analyzing that for you so you could make the decision. Deck has only 9 main high BP attackers. So if a Deck Sensei is basically saying it's basically saying you have a lot of low cost characters, not as many high cost characters you could. Maybe you could make some swaps there, is what Deck Sensei is telling you. But what is Deck Sensei flagging? Deck Sensei is saying your trigger count is dangerously low, leaving you highly vulnerable defensively. Consider adding more triggers. Let's take a look at that trigger breakdown again down here in the deck builder. And it's only at 36. So there's 14 non-triggers. Let's go and take a look at the deck just to verify that. 4, 6, 10, 14. Yeah. So I'm sure there's a way you could easily add in more triggers to this deck. So I'm not going to get into what that might be right now, but that's what Deck Sensei is telling you. Is like that is the other things are more just advice, like take a look at it. Those might be problem areas, but this is literally telling you your trigger count is just way too low. That's what this is telling you right here. Now let's go take a look at a deck. I think I have it saved in here. Take a look at the deck, the solo leveling deck that won the regional recently. I believe I saved that in here. Yeah. So this is the deck. Let's take a look at it. I just kind of spoiled it right there. But this is the deck that won the regional. And let's take a look at what Deck Sensei says. Deck Sensei loves this deck. So let's look at some of the smarter ones added here. Safe number of event cards, optimal number of site cards. There are sites and events being added in this deck, but then Deck Sensei is being like, okay, this is a really smart usage of those types of cards. We can also look at the plenty of searching cards, bonus points for really strong low-cost draw characters, a strong, reliable core of main high BP attackers, a solid presence of 3 cost characters, and a great mid-game bridge, safe number of raid characters, perfectly balanced special color and final triggers, excellent overall trigger strategy, solid foundation of 0 cost characters, and a deck uses a single energy color. So I ran this. I wrote an article where I ran this Deck Sensei over this in my version 1 when Deck Sensei didn't have as advanced analysis skills, and now even after version 2 launches, back then this regional winning deck got a perfect green, and now with version 2 it's still getting a perfect green. So Deck Sensei definitely knows what makes a deck top tier and what makes a deck lesser than. So I hope that gives you an idea of how Deck Sensei works. I think it's really a great fit for anybody. Again, any level of player. A seasoned player like me, I still use it to just check my weaknesses. Again, I did that the other night. Maybe I can pull this up. I did that the other night with my Una deck. Let's see if this is the one that I used. I think this is the one I used. Let's take a look at Deck Sensei. So I actually used this the other night and it flagged this for me. This deck has only 9 main high BP attackers. There's a couple of other things here too. In this deck, I think these are probably okay. There's definitely something to think about. You could run more 2 energy characters for sure, and your deck does run a lot of events. In this deck, that's fine because this is a very event-focused deck. But I took a look at this, and I actually did end up making some changes when I saw Deck Sensei was like, hey, you only have 9 main high BP attackers. Like, maybe you could include more. And so in my final build, I did end up adding more. So I think it was even lower than this. Actually, I think this is my final build, but I had it even lower than this, so I added some more in. So Deck Sensei even helps me, and I built Deck Sensei. So go ahead and give it a try. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next time with more Union Arena updates and analysis. But if you haven't, head on over to josephryderanderson.com. Check out the TCG tools, the Union Arena Deck Builder, and I hope that it helps you brewing even better decks. So until next time, keep on battling.